Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to draw a green apple using both watercolour and coloured pencils. I'll take you through my process and share a few tips on how to make the creative journey more enjoyable. The supplies I'm using for this drawing are clear Fontaine pastel matte paper, Faber Castell Polychromos pencils, the Rowney Simply Watercolours, a brown Faber Castell Pitt pen and a white Posca pen. Now, I'm no watercolourist. I picked up my watercolours from the range, and as I said just now, they're Rowney Simply Watercolours. They're not a professional watercolour. And the reason I've started experimenting with a watercolour base is twofold. Firstly, I find that it helps me establish the basic form and shape of my subject quite quickly. And secondly, it gets rid of that blank page fear. It stops me from procrastinating. The watercolour base gives me a foundation to work from, and the key thing I believe is to not worry about perfection. Never ever worry about perfection. I will admit I have not got the hang of watercolours, and using pastel matte, the colour does seem to bleed outside of my intended outline, but that's okay, I can work with that. Once the watercolour is dry, I put the stalk in using a Pitt pen in walnut brown, and then I've moved onto the coloured pencils and start mapping in the darkest parts of the apple first. I'm using my darkest greens and brown as well. I'll list the colours in the description, however if you're drawing this yourself, use whatever colours you have. Putting down the darkest parts of the apple first, in my mind, it's best for building depth and dimension. I'll go over these dark greens with a lighter green later. And for now, I'm just completely avoiding the highlight areas of the apple. Earth green yellowish is one of my favourite greens. I'm pretty much going to shade most of the apple with a layer of this colour, apart from the highlights. If you are a coloured pencil artist, you'll know that this is one of the slowest mediums to use. Generally, the advice that you get from other artists is to work in light layers. However, personally, I don't always want to spend hours on end putting down hundreds of layers. Sometimes I just, like with this picture, just want to sit down with a hot chocolate and not just start a picture, but start and finish a drawing in one sitting. So I'm not being so controlled, and I'm not being so neat and tidy. I'm not interested in perfection. I'm not all about perfection. In fact, I think it's more important to embrace the process. Don't focus on the so-called rules, because I don't feel there should really be any rules. Art is all about expression, and you should express yourself however you want. There's no right or wrong way to do things. If it feels good to you, just dive in and go with the flow. Don't stress about choosing the perfect colour. You don't have to be a colour expert to create something beautiful. It's all about experimenting and trusting the process. Sometimes you'll find that unexpected colours come together in ways you never imagined, and other times it may not work out quite as you planned. Now, just now I did put down some earth green here on the apple, and it really didn't mix with the colours that I had put down, and I didn't like it. Just remember, you can mix colours, layer them, blend them, just see what happens. Sure, it might not always turn out the way you thought it would, but that's all part of the fun. As I add my details, I just keep layering my pencils to get rich colours and more realistic textures. But my goal is not to aim for photorealism. I think my art is more semi-realistic. Just remember, there's no pressure to make things perfect. It's all about enjoying the journey and seeing where your creativity takes you. And here is the final result. I hope you enjoyed watching the process. Remember, there are no rules in art and it's all about finding your own style. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and to share your journey with me.